After many months, it is finally time to build the coffee truck. Yes, that is right. We are building the CA30 from King Kong. It's a 6x6 Soviet truck and it looks awesome. And the reason I chose it is because we're building a coffee truck. I wanted something to look like old school that you'd have seen like as a trade truck after World War II. The other reason I chose it is because the quality of the parts look really good. So in this box is the chassis. In this box is the, this should be the wooden bed, and then in here is the body. There's the hard body, the tractor unit there. I'll leave links to where I got all this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the parts out and lay them out on the side. And we'll talk about why I'm doing a coffee truck build. I think it was last year, I put a little link in the description that was like you can buy me a coffee to, you know, show your support the channel. There was a handful of people that thought it was just a money grab. And actually, it was pretty well supported. It's 150 supporters. So I actually thought, let's do something with this. So what I'm doing is, I'm building this coffee truck. Look at how big it is. That's the chassis rail. I didn't realize how big it was. I thought I'm going to build the coffee truck, do a few videos of it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out a way of raffling it off, and then whatever money's made, not just whatever profit, all the money made from raffling it off, is going to go to charity, and then someone's going to win the truck. And I'm not doing that out of guilt because a few people accuse me of just money grabbing. I'm doing it to give back something to you and to give something to charity. I'll get money for making the content, you'll get a truck for supporting the channel, and the charity will get money. Win, win, win. So there's all the parts laid out. Good thing about this is, well, good for me anyway, a lot of the stuff comes pre-built. So your axles are already built, gearbox is built, and it's good to see that there's grease in there. Transfer case, your springs, nice. So what we're going to do in this video is get all the chassis built, so we're going to have a nice rolling chassis. We'll then discuss what we're going to do with the body, and I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do with the wood in there. I'm doing something quite, I don't want to say unique, because I don't know if anyone else has done it, but that was an idea given to me. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm going to crack open the instructions, see what the first bit is, then we're going to start getting this thing built.
When you say you feel low and good things are hard to see, when you pray to find love, I know somewhere we could be. There's a place where we can go tonight.
So that's the first side done. Got the transfer case in there, all on. No issues other than getting these tiny little 2mm hex head screws in. You see they go there. I need to get 2 more in there. There's some in there that I managed to get in with long nose pliers. I can't find 2mm ones online. I can find 2.5mm like hex drivers or hex sockets, but not 2. So that's the only problem. Oh, and these in the book are marked down as M38s, but they're M310s. There isn't any M38s in here, but other than that, we're all done for this side. Basically, all we've got to do now is duplicate that on the second side. So that'll be the chassis done. And I believe it's onto the axles. So that'll be second bit done. Yeah, there you go. So springs on and axles in. That's when the fun starts and this thing starts looking like a big truck. Right, I'm gonna get this second bit done and then we'll get on with the axles and springs. So the other side of the chassis is all on, but I've got loads more of these little bits of scale hardware to fit because I haven't got the tool, although I have found the correct tool now, so I've ordered that. It'll be here in the next couple of days. So while we're waiting for that, I can't do any more on there. Let's get the leaf springs onto the axles, which is this bit here. And luckily, I have this little 3D printed tool that is for SCX 24 wheel nuts, which fit onto the M2 nuts on this. So I'm gonna use that. So let's get the front axle springs on first, and then we'll do the rear axles. So the rear ones have got like this rocker system on them. The fronts are just a standard leaf spring. So that's one spring on, nice and easy. Looks really nice, doesn't it? How scaled does this look? It looks so cool. That is really cool. Not gonna have loads of flex on there, but I don't think these had loads of flex. Right, let's get the other spring on and then we need to work on the rear one. So time for the rear axle now, or the rear axles, which is a little bit more complex with links and stuff, but we'll crack on with that. Get that all done. Here's all the links. Both the axles, they look the same, but there's some slight differences. If you line them up like that, you can see they're staggered. That's so when they're on, obviously the drive shaft can go to that one and to that one. Otherwise, it would snag. Some stuff that's 6x6 just has the output of the front one there going in there, but these are staggered with 2 separate drive shafts, which I think is a really cool design. Obviously, like the real thing. Anyway, let's get this thing together. That single link took way longer than it should have. I haven't got any ball end hexes, and you can't get in there. You can only get in the standard one, and trying to get that lined up and going in straight was a pain in the ass. That's the rear axles and suspension nearly done. We've just got to mount it to the chassis now. This is the front one all done. I just love the quality of the engineering that goes into these little scale vehicles is awesome. I can't believe I'm not even going to be able to keep it once I'm done, because I want to use having it. Anyway, I'm at a point now where I need to mount these on the chassis, but I need to get the, I need to wait for that tool so I can get the rest of the chassis finished before I start putting this on. I don't want to do it out of order and then have to take some stuff off. So I'm going to see how far I can get with building a wheel. The bits are quite small and there's lots of them, but I'm going to give it a go. Then if I don't need any other extra tools, we'll get the rest, we'll get the other 5 finished. So as you can see, there's quite a few screws and little nuts on each wheel. There's the little screws and there's the little nuts. Now I've put a wheel together and I've got 4 in. It's not actually too bad. Just use a normal 1.5 hex drive, and then get in a pair of tweezers. Just drop the nut onto the top of the thread and you can kind of hold it with your finger and then screw it from the other side. However, that is going to take me quite some time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're not getting any fancy montage of me doing this because it's going to take me forever. Anyway, we'll be back when all the wheels are done, and hopefully by that time I have the right tool to sort the chassis out so we can get it all finished, because then I've got to do the wood bed, which has got about 1,000,000 screws. So that's going to be fun, and again, take me forever, but it will be worth it when it's finished. $108 nuts, bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them, fixings, hardware, 108 all done. And I got the tyres round the right way, well I hope I did anyway, because they're directional. So the tyres are done, front and rear axles and the suspension's done. Just got to wait for my little tool to get these fitted. And then we've got the gearbox to go in. I haven't got a motor yet, we're going to talk about that right at the end. And then I need to talk about paint and stuff. Anyway, I'll be back once my tool's here. Who wants to see my tool?
That's what she said.
Michael, please.
A beautiful little tool. Have I had my hair cut since I was last doing this? I think I might have. Anyway, we have the scale hardware tool. A good friend of mine, Gareth Curtis from GCRC, always tells me off for not saying hardware. I always say fixings, so that's just for you, Gareth. Scale hardware tool, which means I've got all the last little bits done. So we can now mount the axles, get the wheels on, and I think we're gonna have a roller. I'm interested to know if any of you are a little bit disappointed at my organisation here, just bags everywhere. I bet there's some of you watching this that are a lot more organised than me. You should see my desk at work, it's even worse. Anyway, it's front axle first, so you just have to rest that in there. A couple of little pins, and that's the front on. And the rear sits on like that with a couple of bolts in there, or 4 bolts in there, screws, hardware, and then that's that done. So I'm gonna get that done. I've got like a minute left on this SD card, so I'm just gonna get that done off camera. If I was Cletus McFarlane now, I'd be saying, hell yeah, brother. We have a roller, a 6x6 roller, and it looks awesome. So axles are all on. I'll tell you something, getting that screw in there was a massive pain in the backside. I had to take all this off in the end to get access in there. Nightmare to do that one, but it's all together and it's rolling. There's, like I said earlier on, there's not a massive amount of flex in this. I'm sure it will definitely loosen up over time, but we have a roller. So I think we're going to call it a day for this video, part 1. Part 2, we're going to get the motor in. So we need to get the gearbox all mounted. The motor sits forward and then the servo sits in there. Got a load of servos here. These are out of, I'm going to use one of these. This was out of the lowrider. That there. So I'm going to use that. That'd be ideal for this. I've already bought the ESC. We're going for a 1080 quick run. These are awesome crawler ESCs because we are going brushed on this. Now, as far as motors go, I think we're going to go for a Holmes Hobby Trailmaster, I think. I think that's the one. Should fit in there nicely. Gives a nice amount of power. Trailmaster Sport. I've got one in my big old Land Rover down here. So that's the setup we're going to go for, brushed. And then the body, I was going to do like a weathered effect. I was going to make it look like sort of an military one and rub it all back and do some weather stuff. But what I'm going to do, I've changed my mind. I'm going to make it as if someone's fully restored it. So it's going to look nice, fresh and clean. And if I mess up the paint job, I can always weather it to cover up my mistake. So part 2, we'll see this thing finish. I got the fun job of building this wooden bed. And I did tell you, I got a little technique I'm going to do this. And I'm going to stain it with coffee. That's right, it's going to be a coffee stained rear bed. A body to do, bed to do, and then we're going to take it out for a run and that'll be it finished. And just finally, before we go, I'm going to sit down for this. Oh. So while I've been doing this build, I've been thinking about how I'm going to give it away. And initially I was going to raffle it off and let everyone get involved. But I've had a change of heart and I want to give this coffee truck to someone who's supported the build. I think that's the only fair thing to do. And it's easier to manage because I can send emails out via my Buy Me a Coffee and the person who actually wins it, I can contact them directly. So much easier than trying to do it any other way, because in the past, all my giveaways, people have tried to scam me. So this way, I'll know the winner and I'll be able to email them directly. So that's what we're going to do. I've got part 2 to come yet, then I'm away for a few weeks in the summer. So it's probably going to be sort of nearer the end of the summer before this actually gets sorted out and someone wins it. So still time to support. There is a link in the description. If you don't want to get involved, that's absolutely fine. You're going to get some good content from it. You're going to see it built. You're going to see it running. But if you do want to support it, there is a link in the description. And because there's not going to be as much money made if I don't raffle it off to the masses, I will add money to the charity pot as well. So we make a decent amount for charity. Anyway, that's it for this video. We'll get part 2 done at some point. Thanks for supporting it to everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm going to put my tool away now and I'll see you next time.